You don't have to win it to defend well. Don't have to win the ball. Okay, Evan Bodger, again, defended well, especially in the left-back position. So, Evan and Jack, very similar to the last game. Made it hard for the opposition. Got in some really important blocks. Like everybody else, you need to make sure we're pushing out, we're staying in line, so you can see across the line when we're coming out. So I'll just show you that on here. So Evan, if you're out here, then you can see whether the other players are up or down. You need to be in line with them. So if they're up and you're down, you need to make sure you're pushing out and staying in line. And then when you do get it, like we said earlier, can we look for that forward pass earlier down the line? Okay. So it's just about relaxing on the ball. It's just about settling into the game and playing the game the way you see it. Trust in yourself. Jacob Lucas did well at the back, held things together. Like we said, making sure we're pushing out early, really as captain. You can play a key role in that, making sure we push out and we don't invite pressure onto ourselves. Let's get us out of the box, okay? You were a good physical presence. We did have an issue in the team with players getting stuck in and, 3-4 players who are afraid to tackle. You're not one of them, which helps, and that's why one of the reasons why we missed you when you went off, okay? Another positive, another success you had is that 2 or 3 times you really were able to switch play from one side of the pitch to the other. I think you need to be aware of when you can do that even more so that we've got the opportunity to play into space, and also making sure that the wide players are actually wide. It's your job as captain to make sure that you're reminding them of the importance of that, because when you get the ball, you want a very clear option to go to the left or to the right. And just remember that if we've started from one side, so let's say we get it from this man here, there's probably going to be a number of defenders around us. So if we get it there, where's the obvious place to go? Boom, let's switch it to the other side. Whereas sometimes we're looking to play it back into areas where they've got defenders closing us down. So can we be aware of the switch nice and early? All right. James Lester, again, did well at the back, playing the ball a little bit quicker this week, only once or twice taking too many touches. So it was a little bit better. It wasn't loads better in that regard, but as ever, calm on the ball and got us playing at times when we were on top. I think it's about how we manage ourselves and manage the game when we're not on top. So actually, this is one for Jake and for James. You need to, first of all, switch on to the mindset that in this team, you, Jake, and probably some of the other boys are going to play centre-back. So you need to be really focused on, number one, staying goal side. So it's much better to let them have a little bit of a run at us and we stay covering the goal, blocking the path to goal, than to dive in and let them get in behind us, because then they've got a clear run on goal. That's where we were struggling a little bit. It wasn't because we weren't getting stuck in. It wasn't because we weren't concentrating. It's just because we were a little bit too eager at times to go and win the ball when we didn't have a great chance of winning it. We had a chance, but we need to make sure we've got an excellent chance of winning and we expect to win it. If we can't do that, it's better to drop, okay? And everyone can drop then, but we don't want to be dropping beyond the box. Okay, so at some point, we need to be creeping towards the ball, closing down the space, staying compact there. So that's what we want to be looking at, is making it really compact. Their only option then is to go wide, which is going to take a lot longer. By the time they go wide, we can get across. Okay, same here. By the time they get that way, we can get across. So that's it for James. Let me just double check. We haven't got anything there yet. Charlie, great to see you battling so well, and willing to play in different positions, aggressive in tackles, some really good link-up play in that period when we were on top. Same with James and Jacob, really. Whether we're playing in the middle or whether we're playing up top, can we be aware of staying goal side, making sure we don't get done in behind? That's a big one. And also just being a little bit calmer in possession, being aware of where our options are, similar to Jake, as we said. If we're receiving it there, so let's say we've got the ball there, are we aware of our options before we get it? So let's say our striker is marked, let's say they've got 2 back, okay, and we've got 1 winger marked here. Sometimes we can just start again. Sometimes we can just start again and then take up a position somewhere else where we can get it maybe in behind. Okay, Jack Cullen. So we had well, I'm not making excuses for the boys, but we have got a few boys who are either coming back from injury or carrying injuries. So Jack is one who's coming back from injuries, and it looked like he was coming back. He didn't quite seem himself, but when that's the case, you've got to be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and just say, okay, it's just about getting a game under my belt, which is what you did. Hopefully you're doing what we said and getting an appointment now with a physio to make sure you get the right advice on how to manage whatever's going on with your knee. Hopefully it's not too serious, and it's just about managing your recovery well there. When Jack was on form, as you'd expect, we got some good passing moves together. Bryn, again, needs to take some advice on how to manage the situation with his legs. So it's similar to Jack, although Bryn has been playing, he hasn't been out. What was positive for you, Bryn, was that you started to go and get those short corners, which was great, and started to link up and be a threat. Where we need to look at now is for you to be just brave, take your man on, get shots off. Look to link up in the box, 1-2s. We're thinking about the end product. We've worked hard to get in good positions. Now it's about nothing to lose, everything to gain. Especially if the boys behind you are protecting you, and getting those shots off, okay? So Harvey Wood, some really good pressing at times. You needed reminding to do it, but once you got into it, you really pressed the ball well. You got in a position where you denied space, forced errors. So that was a real positive. Played with a lot of energy. What you need to be doing, Harvey, is, as we've said, it's really clear, start as wide as you can. So we're at this point with you now, Harvey, where we want to see this happening. This is an advanced group. You've got aspirations of playing at a higher level, and as we talk about quite a lot, I know Malcolm Cook had connections with Everton Football Club, the coaches who really nurtured Rooney as he was developing, and one of the things they said is really what stood him apart, what set him apart is not so much ability, although his ability was very good. It was, you only had to ask him once and he would just put that into practice. So still, it's being as wide as you can for the reasons we've just shown on the board there. And the other one is tackling. You've got seem to have a fear anyway of tackling. Maybe it's getting hurt, I don't know. But what we need to do is make sure that you're tackling that situation, you're approaching it, you're being honest with yourself, and asking for help, really, because it's not something that we can do for you, but we are here as coaches to help with whatever is stopping you from really getting stuck in, okay? And Teddy Lowery, again, worked hard. What was positive was that you got in front of your man quite often, Teddy, which was good. You worked hard throughout the game. What you need to do now is, number one, make that first touch stick. So you've either got to make it stick and then shield and then play it off, or then turn, or you need to take that touch into space immediately away from defenders. So sometimes the ball's coming up to you and then you're having one touch and then the defender's coming in and taking it off you. So there's those two things, either make it stick and then shield, or when you get the chance, play it away into space either with a pass or a touch that's going to take you away from the defender. And then, as we've spoken about there, Teddy, it's about the lines that you run across. So just take these out for a second. Let's just say we've got 2 at the back. Okay, it's being willing to run across the line. So let's say we're out there and we've got a winger there. If you start here, you've got all this area to run. Okay, so you might drag this guy across, but you're still leaving space to run in behind with this ball there. Okay, whereas if you just stay there, yes, you can have it to feet. Okay, and then go, but the chances are they're going to be blocking you. Whereas if you run across the line, then you've got a goal, a potential goal by having the ball. You still give yourself a chance of receiving the ball in behind. So hopefully that makes sense. You can see the advantage of running across their defensive line. So it might be the same up this end. Let's say the ball's on this side now, and then it comes across here. If you run across the line, you know, he's going to come across, you run across the line, he can still play the ball in behind for you. All right? So that's the advice I've got for Teddy. You know, it really is for you, Ted, about making those runs, being clever with your runs. Because you've got the pace, you've got the finishing ability. It's about how we get into those positions. Obviously, we need the wide men to really understand this as well. Okay, Harry Hayden did well as you grew into the game, settled in. You know, made some good blocks, some good tackles, were able to distribute the ball from the back and get us playing. So that was a positive. The big one as well, you know, Harry, you're one of the players we've got in a team who seems to have a fear of, you know, contact. Maybe it's a fear of getting hurt, which is understandable, you know, because that can happen in football. But we need to really work together now, put a plan in place. You know, we can only do that through talking. I don't really know what you're thinking about all this sort of stuff. So I'm going to say to all the players who are struggling with physical contact and tackling, because let's be honest, if we've got 3 or 4 boys in the team who are afraid of tackling, doesn't really matter whatever else we do, tactically, technically, you know, that can be a real issue because they're just going to steam through us at certain moments in certain parts of the field, which is, you know, what was happening. But you know, you're a good player, like all the boys that we're talking about in this instance. And if you can, well, you definitely can sort this out. But I can't do it for you. None of the coaches, can do it for you. But we can do it together. You know, it's your job to be open and honest about what you're afraid of. If you've got any concerns about tackling, and it's our job then to help you come up with solutions. Maybe you're going to come up with your own solutions. And that's what the coaching process is about. It's about identifying what the issue is, what's stopping you from moving forward. You know, like I say, with something like this, you know, we need you engaged in it, and then coming up with some solutions, having a go, practicing certain things in training, away from training, and then implementing it in the game and seeing what a difference that can make. I believe it can make a big difference. Same for Archie, really. Archie, you know, so I won't repeat what I've just said, but that does apply to you as well, Archie, with regards to tackling. And you made some good forward runs. You got into some really threatening positions. And then I would say, again, it's about your confidence on the ball, because, you know, we know what you can do. We've seen you in camps, we've seen you in training, we've seen you in other games where you've looked and clearly felt really confident and not afraid to try things. So that's a big thing for you, is that when you get in these good positions, you certainly showed good understanding of width when we were playing down one flank. So just make sure that you work together with us now to help yourself become more confident and with nothing holding you back on the ball. Okay. And then we've got Lewis Hyde. So Lewis, you went off a little bit early. So with the asthma, so that's just something you need to make sure you manage, and you know, we'll just leave the rest. I think you went off pretty early on in the first period, I believe. So Liam Harding, similar to the other boys, to do with tackling and just generally making sure you're getting stuck in and having an impact on the game. Because again, you know, we know, I think back to when Freek was over from Holland. Freek, we called him